Welcome to Lesson 15, Third Conjugation. As always, let's start with a review. A verb is a word that shows action or existence. Verbs of existence are called linking verbs, the most important of which is our verb sum esse, to be. Nouns are grouped into families called declensions, of which there are 5, while verbs are grouped into families called conjugations, of which there are 4-ish. We'll talk about the ish in a different lesson. We recognize a verb's conjugation or family by looking at the second principal part, which is called the infinitive. First conjugation verbs have an infinitive that ends in long are, like amo, amare. Second conjugation verbs have an infinitive that ends in long ere, like the verb dokeo, dokere. And fourth conjugation verbs have an infinitive that ends in long ire, like the verb audio, audire. Third conjugation. Most verbs in Latin are actually third conjugation. Unlike every other conjugation, third conjugation does not have a macron. Third conjugation verbs instead have an infinitive that ends in a short ere, like the verb traho, trahere. It's a short or weak ere. It's not trahere, it's trahere. The weak e in the infinitive is key to understanding third conjugation. We can think of third conjugation verbs as wannabes. That is, think of them as second conjugation verbs that have thrown away their macron identity and are trying to become fourth conjugation. Without their macron e, they no longer act like second conjugation verbs and start to behave instead like the fourth conjugation verbs they idolize. So how do you form it? When you go to conjugate a third conjugation verb, you still start off the same way you always do. Go to the infinitive, chop off the letters re. But the weak e left behind is no longer held in place by a macron. That macron is what kept the long a, long e, and long I in place when you were conjugating first, second, and fourth verbs. Chopped off the re, a, e, and I stayed. Without the macron, the weak e falls away and disappears entirely. Let's put this into practice. Here's your example. Scribo, scribere, scripsi, scriptus, to write. Short ere, not scribere, but scribere. Go to the infinitive. Chop off the re. Weak e falls away. Your stem is not scribe, your stem is scrib. We're going to use that in our chart, in all the same places we normally do. Now, our rule is we normally take our stem and add endings to it. Let's do that. Ost mosticent. And in the imperative, we normally add te for the plural, so let's do that. Okay, well this looks a little weird. Scribo looks fine. Looks like our first principal part, scribo, scribo. But the rest of them look a little weird. Scribmus and scriptis. Normally we have some sort of vowel in between. Well, remember, these verbs are wannabes. They want to be fourth conjugation. So if we think about what fourth conjugation does, fourth conjugation has an I. It's a long I. Well, third conjugation can't create a long I. It has to do what it can, and it uses a short or weak I in between. So on second person singular, it's not scribs. I'm not going to accept that BS. Put something in between. Put an I in between. It's scribus. Keep going. Scribit, scribimus, scribitus. Oh, but wait. We said before that I and NT don't get along. They're always getting into a fight, and we have to keep the peace. Well, on fourth conjugation, we added a U in between, but here, the I is too weak to stay there. Instead, we're just going to add a U, and get scribunt. Now let's move down to the imperative. On the singular imperative, the weak I is actually too weak to stay there by itself. Instead, we're going to add a weak E back. Over in the plural though, scribente, hey, add a weak I in between, scribite. So when you have something by itself, when you have a stem by itself and there's no endings on it, it's going to be an E. Anytime you've got an ending afterward, put an I in between. Translate it like you always do. I, you, he, we, y'all, they, and give a command of do it. Let's summarize. Third conjugation verbs have a weak E that falls away and disappears. We can't go straight from the stem to our endings, though, without a vowel in between. Insert a weak I to make up for the lost vowel, except next to NT, where instead you use the letter U. Let's do a bunch of practice. We'll do the first one together. Rego, regere, rexi, rectus, to rule. Gives you the word regina, a queen, or eventually the word rex, king. Notice short or weak ERE. This is not second, this is third conjugation. When you chop off the RE, the weak E falls away. Your stem is reg. Let's use it. Go back, add your endings. O-S-T, most, tis, int, and add te. But we can't have that. We can't go from reg to mus. Add something in between. Add an I. Except next to NT, it's a U. In the imperative, rege, regite. Translate it like you always do. I'm going to give you a bunch more verbs. Do them on your own. I will not give you time in the video. Instead, as I show you the verb, you'll need to pause the video, try it on your own, start the video again, look at the answers. Ready? Here we go. Conjugate audio. Notice, audio is fourth, so it has a strong I the entire time. Audio and audiunt. The U goes in between the I and the NT on fourth conjugation verbs. Traho, trahere. Lego, legere. Dokeo, dokere. Notice, dokeo, dokere is second. It's a strong E. It stays in place the entire time. Defendo, defendere.